normally it is not enough. So we try to do our best, because the transaction is something that is not really as easy as the other chapters. When we talked about salah, purification, we talked about as well the siyam and the fasting. This is something that normally it is needs more focusing and more of an academic thing, but we will make it inshallah as well as easy as possible for you. But it's good to have a book of Sheikh Abdul Azim Badawi in order to put your notes. Right. First of all, am I audible to the sisters? Because I can't hear myself. So I don't know. If I can't hear myself, I'm not relaxed. You sure? Yeah, could you hear? Yes, they could hear me. Yeah, here inshallah. Right. Transactions. Al-buyu'. Al-buyu' meaning to sell and buy. So we got bay' and shira. And if one of them is mentioned on its own, it means both. But if they're both mentioned together, then one means buying and the other one means selling. So when you sell or buy, you're transferring the ownership of something to somebody, from one person to another, in return for a price. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the permissibility of such an issue. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah makes the bay' transactions, that is buying and selling, to be halal, as for riba is to be haram. And also from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, when Hakim ibn Hizam, the one who embraced Islam towards the end of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, and is the year 8 after Hijrah, when he had regained Mecca, Hakim ibn Hizam, he embraced Islam when he was too old, 70 plus. And he was a merchant, person who sells and buys, so trader. So he asked the Prophet ﷺ about selling. He said, the Prophet al-bayyani bil-khayar ma lam yatafarraqa or yaftariqa. That the people who transact with one another, sell or buy, they have the choice as long as they don't depart from one another. And that is to show you it is in the sunnah of the Prophet. As for the ijma', also the consensus of the Muslimun, scholars, Sahaba, because you see, this is something needed. And it's always that the person has need to something which belongs to somebody else. You are in need of whatever I have in my own possession, and I am in need of whatever is in your own possession. So that is why it is common sense. The Prophet ﷺ commanded us to gain our expenses and livelihood from our sweat, from our earnings. So he says, no one had eaten food better than the food that he buys it from his own work, from his own earnings. Probably the Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, he used to eat from the earnings of his own hand. And Dawood alayhi salam, he used to, make like makes shoe horses, like a blacksmith. And also, all the prophets used to be shepherds. Abu Hurairah narrates that the Prophet ﷺ says that if any person for you to go and collect wood on the back of his and then sell it in the market, it would be better for him to go and ask a person to give him. He might does and he might do not. He might doesn't. What a shameful thing. You go to somebody and you ask him for money to lend you, and maybe you know for a fact that he has the money to give you, then he turns you down. What sort of feeling is going to have? It'd be better for you to be the upper hand and to be dependent upon no one except for yourself. Like, no problem for the person to be rich as long as he had taqwa. For the Prophet ﷺ, he said, no harm for being rich for the person who was pious. But being healthy while pious is better being rich. I'm pretty sure that if you are wealthy so much, but yet you have a disease which is about to kill you, you will be willing to swap all that wealth of yours in order to get what? And gain the health. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. The health is for the person who is pious, and it's better than being rich. Also, the Prophet ﷺ in the whole Sharia of Islam makes the person to economize the way he lives, not to be extravagant, and not to be stingy. So the Prophet of Allah, he said, "O people, fear Allah and be reasonable when you ask, when you work for provide yourself the rizq. For verily, not a single soul would die except that it will complete gaining the rizq which was being ordained for it. And if the rizq has come slow to be received, it will get to you. So fear Allah and gain the rizq of Allah in halal way and leave what is haram. SubhanAllah. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying to us, no matter what your rizq, you're going to get it. Just like the death will catch up with you, the rizq will catch up with you. Also the Prophet of Allah, he said, good manners and being prudent, calm, and economizing the way that you live, it's a part or a segment from 24 segments of the prophethood. The Sharia also prompts the person to be truthful, and it warns the person from being a liar when he makes a transaction. Hakim ibn Hizam radiallahu anhu narrates from the Prophet ﷺ that the two transacted, the one who makes a selling and the one who buys and sells, they are having the choice either to go ahead with the transaction. As long they don't depart, then they will not have the choice. But if they're to be truthful and show truthfulness by presenting the defects and everything that in the item they want to sell or buy, Allah will put barakah into that transaction. But if they to lie or hide, how to lie or hide? That the person who is selling, he will hide the defects. The person who's buying, he knows the price is much more than that. He's trying to trick that person to sell it with a cheaper price. So they started to hide and deceive. Then the barakah will go. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Yaminul Fajira, the oath which is corrupt, meaning which is not a truthful oath. You make an oath by Allah. It will make the transaction go ahead. It will make the goods to be sold, but it will wipe out the barakah. No barakah. Blessings. Sahih al-Bukhari, it says that a man, he was selling an item in the market. So he gave an oath by Allah to the person who wants to buy it that he's being given more for that item in order to raise up the price. He said, by Allah, I've been given more than that. Okay? In order to that the person, believes that he's being offered better than this price. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the following verse in Surah Al-Imran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَشْتَرُونَ بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ وَأَيْمَانِهِمْ, the ones who purchase the covenant of Allah and by their oath, ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا, a little price, a little profit. أُولَٰئِكَ لَا خَلَاقَ لَهُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ, those that will have no portion in the hereafter. They will have no portion in the hereafter, then they will have except for torment and torture. وَلَا يُكَلِّمُهُمُ اللَّهُ, Allah will not speak to them. وَلَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهِمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, He will not look at them on the day of resurrection. وَلَا يُزَكِّيهِمْ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, He will not purify them and they will have a severe torment. What a punishment for the person who is trying to put the price up by deception. By the way, I'm adding to the book number of titles, which is important. So if you have seen me saying something, maybe it's not from the book, this is my own notes I'm adding to the book because, as I said, transaction is very important. Also, that the Sharia prompts those people who transact and sell and buy to give a lot of sadaqah in order to expiate what takes place alongside these transactions. So sometimes you might lie, sometimes you might deceive, sometimes you hide the defect, sometimes you have bad manners. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ya ma'shar al-tujjar," which is hadith authentic in Sunan Tirmidhi, "O assembly of traders, this transactions, it is presented next to it or in it the following: al-lagh, indecent speeches, and wal-halif, and also false oaths. So fashubuhu bis-sadaqah." Then try to mix it with the sadaqah, give sadaqah for the sake of Allah. And another narration, he said, يَحْضُرُ فِيهِ الشَّيْطَانُ وَالْإِثْمِ. In such a transaction, normally it is the case that shaitan will be present, and also the sin is close. So make sure that you expiate such things by giving the sadaqat. Also, the Sharia had come to warn those people who deceive regarding the weight. So we have Surah Al-Mutaffifin, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ. Woe to the ones who do not give the right weight for the right price. So, for example, they ask them for 1 kilo, they give you less than a kilo. Now, how would they do that? At the time before, the weights, which, for example, is a standard 5 kilos, they do something to it to make it look 5 kilos, but it's not 5 kilos. For example, these days as well, digitally, you could really play with that very easily. You could set the digital to subtract from the real weight, to give you a wrong weight. So, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ. It was sent down in Medina when the Prophet ﷺ came to it, and there was some people who were very bad, who were not giving the right weight. Did you put that volume up? Huh? Can I ask you, up and down is no good for me. It does. But now, while I'm talking just now, I mean, in Makram, is still the wrong one or the good one? It's going up and down. You sure? It's the good one. You put that in the bin, that one. You remember the one which is we used in the other? Seems to go up and down. Maybe this is the one. You sure? Then these people, after the verse was revealed, they started doing well in giving the right weight. Also, the Sharia prompts us to leave what is in doubt of. So if you're in doubt of something, do not go into it, because it comes into haram. This transaction, you can know the fatwa from the scholars and leave it. A good example of that, the crypto. A very good example of that, because before that we had the monsoon, we had the Mansour, and we had the ACN. If you remember, all of that later on became haram. But people made money after that, and they halal or haram, mashallah. After he made thousands, he's asking halal or haram. So that's not correct. You see that the voice going on? Just listen when I'm talking. You see that going up and down. And just saying change the mic would be better. Yeah. It's going up and down. But if it's the wrong mic, I'm going to put it in my pocket. I'm not going to take it back. It's going to headache. That is the one I'm going to take it in my pocket. Sorry, guys. Bismillah. There's nothing coming out of this. Bismillah. Hello? That's one I'm working with. Bismillah, 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 Bismillah. Right, okay. That's in my pocket as well. Yeah, the sound, I'm very sensitive for it. I could see it. Up and down, there, up and down, up and down. You don't need to ask your wife, doctor. I know. It's up and down. I know it, 100%. I'm acoustic. I'm a person. Unless I'm, hear it. Unless the system needs changing. طيب إخواني, just wait for the microphone to come in, inshallah. Yes? Next time I'm going to bring my own, Okay, I'll put this temporarily. Give me that one. I'll put that temporarily. You don't have any, huh? I'll bring my own. By the way, these are rubbish ones. No, even there's no make on it. The proper one got proper making on it. So you need to buy the. Yeah, there's one £80. It's not really expensive. Expensive is about £500. Ah, that's a good one. Bismillah. It's working. You're not gonna get that out of this. طيب إخواني, we'll try this one. Inshallah, leave it. In order for the person to make sure that he's not falling into the haram, he needs to learn. Just like when you go to Hajj, you learn how to make Hajj, don't you? Just like when you go to Umrah, you need to learn how to make Umrah, don't you? Just when you want to pray as well, you did have to pray. And make sure your prayer is valid. Why is it when it comes to buying and selling, the people, they don't care as long as they make money? They don't care. So they go in a transaction and they know that it's gray area. Then after they make money, they will say, halal or haram. It's difficult for you if I said to you haram to leave it, because you're already, you loved suckling from that sort of transaction that you do. It's very hard for you to leave it. So before you go into it, fear for Allah Azza wa Jal that this transaction could take you to hellfire. So we say to the brothers and the sisters, educate yourself. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم. Seeking the knowledge is incumbent and a compulsory upon every Muslim. Also, the Sharia comes to prompt the person to write a debt if there is a loan. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تداينتم بدين إلى أجل مسمى فاكتبوه. Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, or you who believe, if you had taken a loan for a certain time, specific time to be returned, then write it down. Now, this command is for facilitation. This command is for big debts. But if it's not, if you did not write the debt, the correct opinion will not be in sin. But if that person forgot or denied, blame no one except for yourself. So I don't think the people would write down, for example, and bring shahid to witnesses. If you're going to have, brother, can I have £10? Okay, bring 2 witnesses, brother. I don't think so. So these little £10 and £20 and £30, you don't need witnesses. But when he asks you, can I have £10,000? Then you would say to him, write a piece of paper and bring 2 witnesses as well. Whether it's one man, okay? Sorry, whether it's 2 men or 1 male and 2 females. In these transactions, you could have witnesses from the female, but each 2 female is equivalent to 1 male. Transactions takes place as well with number of ways. But whatever the people had agreed to be transactions, then it will take place. Some of the scholars said it has to be an action. Some of them has to be no. A person offering, the person, second one is, so I sell you, I say I buy from you. And some of them said it's more people what they believe, and they have their tradition and the way of selling, that will be taken as a way of selling. So, and this can be taken from the person who he can't even talk, which is the deaf and dumb. So he gave a gesture to go ahead with the transaction. It will take place. It will take place these days as well with writing. By sending an email, I've sold you this, and no problem. Okay, so the person needs to make sure that he does not do any deception. That's why the Sharia came to make systems for these transactions in order not to make the people have enmity and break relationship between each other. That's why they said, Al-Muslimu akhul Muslim. The Muslim is the brother of another Muslim. And وَلَا يَحِلُّ لِمُسْلِمٍ it is not fit for a Muslim who had sold his brother something which called a defect into it, except that he will tell him, no problem, I'm selling you a car, brother, but I think there is something wrong with the engine. I've heard it knocking. No problem. But not to disclose this, that's not good. Allah will remove the barakah. Also, Sharia comes to make the transaction as easy as possible. So the Prophet ﷺ said, رَحِمَ اللَّهُ رَجُلًا سَمْحًا إِذَا بَاعَ. May Allah have mercy upon the person who is an easygoing person when he sells, easygoing when he buys, and also easygoing if he's to as well take his loan back. So basically, when you go to a person, he's selling you something. Let's say he's selling you an item for £100, and you know it is in the market. You can get it maybe for 98, 99, but it's not worth it to go to the other places maybe for you. So £100, take 100. Especially if he's a brother, and you know maybe he's taking maybe an extra £1 or two from the what? From the market. Okay, so this person, he's buying, and also he is being easygoing. Same thing with the person who's selling. I mean, if he sold it for 98 or sold it for 100, what is subtle difference in profit is going to do? Only £2. Maybe for him to gain the brotherhood of this person by giving him the lesser amount and satisfy himself with a small margin in profit, better than losing this customer for a long time. Now, the excellence of giving time to the person who is in hardship. That's all of it under transactions. So Abu Hurairah narrates for us that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that there was a trader who used to give loan to the people. I mean, people buy from him and they don't give him, the price for that. So if he sees a person in difficulty, he would say to the ones who are working for him, maybe it's better for you to overlook him. Tajawaz ma'ana. Don't ask him. Maybe Allah will look over us. That means He will not punish us for every account that we have done, on account of what we have done. So maybe Allah will overlook us. So Allah had overlooked him. And this hadith can be seen in another narration, which is even more detailed. That a man, he never done anything good in his life. And he used to give loans to the people. And he used to send the messenger of his in order to collect the debts. So he would say to him, take what is available and do not press for those people who are in hardship. Do not press for that. For verily overlook them. Maybe Allah will overlook us. When he died, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would ask him, have you done anything good in your life? He says, no, except that such and such had taken place. I used to give loans to the people, and I used to send my boy who was working, and I say to him that take what is available and leave what is hard because of the hardship that the people passing through, and overlook. Maybe Allah will overlook us. Allah says, I have more right than you, for verily I have overlooked your sins. Been forgiven because he was a very easygoing person, and he overlooks the people who are in difficulty. Allah says, subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَإِن كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ فَنَظِرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرٍ. If he's to be in hardship, then look to the time when he's at ease. Don't ask him when he's at difficulty. In Sahih Targhib, of the authority of Buraidah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, he who gives time, respite for those people who are in hardship, then he will be given as a reward for every day that he had given him respite, a sadaqah. So imagine that you're giving sadaqah, but you're not giving sadaqah, because he gave him respite. Then he said to him, she said, basically, have heard the Prophet of Allah, he said that he who does give respite to the person who's in hardship, for every day he does, then he will have double sadaqah. So I said to the Messenger of Allah, how come? You said one, that he's got one sadaqah equivalent to one sadaqah. The other time you said it's going to be an equivalent of double sadaqah. He said, verily, one sadaqah, this is before the time of the debt is due. So let's say you've given this person £100 and it's to be given back after a month. From here until 1 month, you're being given for every day what? Sadaqah. It's like you're giving sadaqah without giving sadaqah. But when it goes over the appointed time, which is the month, for every day after the month is what? Double sadaqah. from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the Prophet of Allah also, he forbade us from conning the people. One day in the market, the Prophet of Allah passes by a man who was selling food. So he stuck his hand into that box which got the food, and he found it's like soggy from underneath. Top is dry, nice, and the one which is underneath is soggy. So the Prophet of Allah, he said, "Laysa minna man ghash." The one who deceives is not from amongst us. So the person, he needs to make sure that he does not deceive the people, whether he's a Muslim or not a Muslim. I'm going to give you a hadith regarding the person who does give a loan to another person, how much reward will you get? Prophet of Allah, he said, I've entered paradise in his dreams, in his vision, and I have seen on one of the gates of paradise written upon it, like a sign, a sadaqah, giving sadaqah, it will get you 10 times. If you give sadaqah, you will get 10 times its like. Wal qard, as for the loan, it's 18 times. 18 times. Why is that? You know that the sadaqah, there's no return for you. The money's gone. But the qard, the loan you give, and you're going to get back. And yet you're going to get 18 times. Why? Anybody want to tell me why? Now. Patience, you have to work. But the sadaqah, the sadaqah, you're not waiting for that. Now. Because number one, you're taking that person out of difficulty. When you give sadaqah, you give to the poor person, but that person is in difficulty. Yeah. Number two, anybody? Good. Well, the same thing, because when you give sadaqah, the same thing happens. But why is the qard 18 times? He said to take the person out of difficulty, because not every person poor, you give him sadaqah, he's in difficulty. Now, it creates wealth and more business. So when you give loans, and this is do the second point, loans, ya ikhwani, is going to be a lot. Sadaqah, you give £10, £5. When you ask somebody a loan, he's not going to ask you for £5, £10. He's going to ask you 1,000 plus. Do you understand the difference now? Because you're going to give a lot of money. You would rather give that person, brother, take £50, don't return it back. I'm not going to give you 1,000 because you're not going to give it back maybe. You understand me? True or not? You would rather give him 50, sadaqah, akhi, but to give you 1,000 and make a break-in of my relationship with you, because you're going to give me a headache. When the time comes in, you don't give it to me. And you really be worried. But when you give the sadaqah, khalas, you're not going to be worried. That's it. I gave it. But the qard, the loan, is going to be worried. It's going to be paying back or not. And it's a lot of money. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us as well to get the money as early as possible. That means to get your livelihood in the early moments or hours of the day. Allahumma barik li ummati fi bukuriha. Allah's Messenger makes a supplication. Allah put barakah into the ummah of mine in the time of the early mornings. So the early mornings, there's barakah into it. So if you start your early day with the work, there's barakah into it. I remember on this occasion, there's a person, mashallah, he's nice and wealthy now, and he used to be financially skilled, nothing. But he used to be, a long time ago, buying and selling cars. And that time he was the auto trader, and it comes every Wednesday. There's no such thing as called internet and all of that. So you have to wait until Wednesday. So he says, I buy it 6 o'clock from the next door shop, which is the shop that is, it could be off license, these shops, magazine shop. 6 o'clock, and he goes straight away to the cars which are a bargain. He gives them a call, and he gets it. He buys it, and he sells it for more profit. And the people who walk up later, they're going to find out that bargain is gone. So he buys 1 or 2, or maybe 3 or 4. Slowly, he built a fortune because of those times in the morning. Prophet ﷺ, whenever he sends a squadron, or expedition, or so say a little army, he will send them at the beginning of the day. Sakhr, he was a man, he was a merchant, trader. He used to send his people to trade in his goods at the beginning of the day, and that's why he ended up wealthy person. What did the Prophet of Allah used to say when he enters the market? The market is a place where the people do not pay attention to istighfar or to dhikr of Allah. It's a place where the people are in fitna. Whether it's the fitna to do with whims and desire, or fitna of buying, like to buy, shopping. So he who enters the market, and this hadith is authenticated by some of the shuyukh or the scholars, one of them Shaykh al-Albani. He says, لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير كله وهو على كل شيء قدير. Allah will write for him 1,000 hasanah, that's a million. And he will wipe out from him 1,000 sins, that's a million. And he will build him a house in paradise. And there's an addition here, not in the book. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will raise him 1,000 ranks in paradise, that's a million steps in paradise. So million hasanah, million sins being removed, million steps being raised and elevated in paradise. If you are a person to say that dua, memorize it, inshallah, it's very easy to memorize. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the bay' is to be halal. He made the riba to be haram. So as long as this transaction took place with the consent of both parties and it is something which is halal, then the transaction is to be authentic and valid. Now, what are those transactions which are invalid or prohibited? You see, the scholar here in this book and all of the scholars, they will not bring to you the halal and valid transactions because they are unlimited, too many. Or they will bring to you the one which are prohibited. So if you know what is prohibited, keep away from it, and whatever is, the rest is halal. Okay? So they will tell you what is prohibited because they are not limitless. They are not limitless, they are limited, the ones which are haram. First one in this book, he says, Bay'ul Gharar. I forgot to get the translation for that word from the book. Anybody looking at Al-Gharar? Means that you don't know that there is a risk. A risk, I think, yeah. Selling and buying, and there is a big risk. So everything, huh? I'm not risk, it's all better of a risk, because I can't say ambiguity. The risk is high. There's a winner and there's a loser. If you wait for me here, I will get it from. Anybody got the English translation of the wajiz? No, you haven't. Okay, right. So let me just see it here. Quickly, please. Anybody on Zoom would like to help me? Anybody like to help in Zoom, please? Okay, there's some people talking. I didn't know that. Let me put them off. Okay, right. Mute all. طيب Islamic English, got it. Transactions. Just a minute, inshallah. Got it? Yep. We're almost there. Yep, that's number one now. Type. According to our book here, is overly risk transactions. Like I said, okay. Can't say ambiguity, that's not correct. So overly risk transactions. That's called bay'ul gharar. So every transaction containing unknown quantities, qualities, or containing great risk, or gambling. That's what it is, which is prohibited. Abu Hurairah narrates that the Prophet ﷺ forbade the al-hasa transaction. And then he said an overly risky transactions. What is al-hasa? I'll explain that. Hasa means in Arabic is stone. What is that? Buying, selling stones? No, it's nothing to do like this. I'll tell you what. These are transactions that used to be familiar to those people before Islam. They used to use this type of method for transactions. The Prophet Allah made it haram. You will see why. 10 minutes, we'll finish inshallah. How long is it going to be now? Huh? What time is the Maghrib? Yeah, we'll finish by Maghrib. 45 is the Maghrib? 15 minutes. Yeah, good, alhamdulillah. That's good. طيب, Al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, in commentary about this hadith, he said, okay, the prohibition of overly risky transaction is a great principle of the principles of business transaction. For this reason, Muslim presented this hadith first. Countless other issues are covered by it, such as the sale of a runaway slave. How can you sell a runaway slave? There's a risk. Either you catch him or you don't catch him. So the person who's going to offer the price for a runaway slave is going to get what? He's going to give a high price or a small price? Huh? Low price. Correct. And offer low price. So now, if he gets it, and he's got a bargain, who's the loser now? The seller. If he doesn't get it, then who's the loser now? The buyer. Because he paid for nothing. He didn't get it. That is the gambling. It's like he says, the runaway slave of something that doesn't exist. Or as well, selling something that doesn't exist. For example, I'm selling you the cup camel inside that she camel. So the she camel is pregnant, or could be not pregnant even. I'm selling you, when she gets pregnant, I'm selling you what is inside it. Tell you what, there was even more than that. I'm selling you the cup, the baby she camel or camel, in the womb of not the one which is in the womb of this one, but in the womb of the one who's going to be born. Habl al-habala. That was at the time. So they will give what? Peanut price. Because maybe that she camel will not get pregnant. If she gets pregnant, maybe the other one will not get pregnant. So he will be basically gambling. If he wins, wins. If he doesn't win, that's it. He's finished. So it's called bay'ul ma'dum, which doesn't exist, or bay'ul majhul, something which is not known. Bay'u ma la yaqdiru ala taslimih. You're selling something that you can't have the ability to hand it over to the buyer. For example, people sell their pigeons. I'm selling you the pigeons when I'm flying. Well, if these pigeons, they have a place where they could return to, no problem. Because we know that these pigeons are going to come back to their place. But if they're just like this, I can't sell it. I'm selling you the fish in the ocean. Which ocean are you selling me? Which fish? So that you're not able to go and give it to me. If I'm selling you fish in a pond, which is, I know which pond, yes, I'll sell you the fish which exists, you can see them. Also, here, bay'u as-sabura or as-subra. Subra. Subra is a pile of food. We don't know what is in food inside it. Also, that's not, which is not known to us, it's not allowed. Anything's got overly risky transaction, it's not allowed in Islam. I'm just reading his commentary and then finishing, and then I'm going to go to explain. But if there is a gharar, which is a risk that we cannot avoid except by hardship, and it's not that much, then it's no problem. Like, you buy watermelon, don't you? You don't know what's inside it, do you? It's going to be red, it's going to be white, it's going to be sweet, it's going to be horrible taste. True or not? So you're buying this. Imagine that now, you're buying one, but those people who are buying, traders, they buy a big truck or a big container. They're going to be opening each watermelon to see if it's red or not. Impossible. So that is known to be no problem. So the person who is expertise, he will tell, that's, okay transaction. Not for a person who doesn't know. That's why Ibn Taymiyyah, he allowed for onion to be sold even it's still in the plant, because you don't see the head of it. Have you seen the onion, how this grows? The head is underneath, where the leaves goes upwards. You don't know if that head is what? Healthy, or worms stuck in it. So I'm buying, this land which is full of onion. Same thing, he said, if it's an expert, then he will know how much it's going to make this one, and he will know how much is the risk is involved. So both the parties, the seller and the buyer, they know what is the risk. Okay, selling the dates, you don't know if the dates is sweet from inside or not. So these things we cannot really basically avoid them. Okay, so imagine somebody selling a house. Brother, I'm not going to buy the house because there is overly risky transaction. How? I don't know about the foundation basis. I want to dig around the foundation to see how strong they are. Then I'll buy the house. By the time you do this, the house will collapse. It's not correct. Nobody would go and dig around the basis and foundation to know that the house is worth buying, unless the house looks is about to what? To be falling down, to fall down. That's in the case, brother, this house, I don't know, it's going to stay for a long time. It looks, wobbly. So we need to make sure that this, now these days, by the way, the people who are expertise, they will know if the foundation is good or not. They don't have to dig even. I don't know how they do it, by sending waves and all of that, but they've got, and even they say, take samples of the sand and all of this, they will know how strong is the house. Right. Now, the watermelon, ya ikhwan, I don't know, here in this country, they give you sometimes half watermelon. It looks red, doesn't it? But it doesn't look, you will not be able to know if it's sweet or not. But it's red. But in our country, they say to it, as-sikin ya batikh. I will sell you the watermelon based upon cutting it for you. So they cut a piece, and you will taste it. If it's okay, put it back, seal it with a sellotape, and they give you the watermelon. So if this person who is selling this, and he opens the watermelon to tell the people that this batikh, his watermelon, is red and is good, if any person took one and he found it to be white, he's entitled to return it back and what? Swap it. Because he sold it in the condition of what? Being red. Not being, the white is no good. The red is due, ripened. The white is not. Okay? So you are entitled to go and swap it. 1 pound world. Have you heard about these shops? 1 pound world. Or everything for 1 pound. I don't think anymore. It doesn't exist maybe. 1 pound is worth nothing now. Okay? So let's say everything. So when you go there is no overly risk because everything you could see it. Most likely you're going to get things which are cheaper than the market, but sometimes you get something very cheap and you end up with a very bad quality. Very bad quality, but it's up to you because we could see it. They're not conning you. They say this is 2 pounds, you can see it. I'm not saying a guarantee here. So there is no, these are things are acceptable as it's not overly risk transactions. طيب. The hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, which the Prophet of Allah forbade the hasa transaction and the overly risky transactions. Just only 2 words. نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن بيع الحصى وعن بيع الغرر. So we gain from this hadith, number 1, transaction of hasa, which I'll explain, is not allowed. Number 2, that when there's a prohibition, that means it's haram. and the haram means invalid transactions. So the selling of the hasa is not just sinful act, but also is invalid. If you didn't know about it, then still invalid, but no sin. If you didn't know that it's haram, you didn't know ACN at the beginning was haram, but still will be invalid transactions if it involves riba or gambling. Thirdly, that the overly risky transactions are prohibited. Fourthly, that the Prophet ﷺ, he likes a few words. Look at these, only 2 sentences here. Few words, which means a lot. So when he also makes the ad'iyah, the dua, a dua is well concise. It's not really big. Long du'as which is made up by people is no good. Dua of the Prophet is short. Also, that the Sharia came to eliminate anything that would bring enmity or greed between the people and their transactions. Right. Here we find, for example, بيع الملامسة or بيع المنابذة. What is ملامسة and منابذة? Which is also prohibited. I'm going to just get the book here to help me with the translation. The ملامسة and munabada. Prophet ﷺ, he said, I have been prohibited from 2 types of transactions, mulamasa and munabada. Mulamasa is where each party touches the garment of the other without inspecting it. And munabada is where each flings a garment, each person flings a garment to the other, and neither of them looks at the garment of the other. So, this person, he would touch the clothes, maybe at the end of the day, maybe during the night, there's no light, he has no right to see it, and he pays, of course, low price. So he will start, if he touches it, khalas, they take it. Now he doesn't know if it's good or not, so he could be good even. Best quality, then he's a winner. Bad quality is a loser. That's gambling, because there is overly risky transaction. It's called mulabasa. And also the time of the Jahiliyyah, they used to munabada. Munabada. I will give you the clothes, you give me the clothes, and they will buying and selling. That's it. So it's gambling. I could give you something good, something bad. It depends. Also, bay'u habl al-habala, the pregnancy of the cup which is still hasn't been born. So the pregnancy of the selling this as well. All of that which is not allowed as well. Bay'u al-hasa. What is the hasa? Bay'u al-hasa, in it there is, number 1, overly risky. Number 2, there is gambling. And there is winning and losing for both. It could be winning for the trader, or it could be winning for the buyer, and vice versa. It could be losing one of them. The Bay al-Hasa is of 3 types. At the time of Jahiliyyah, they used to say, I have sold you these types of clothes with such and such, as long as you have hit it with the hasa, with the stone. So you throw a stone, and then whatever the stone lands on, this is the one that you're going to get. So you will line up, for example, clothes. Some of them are expensive, some of them are cheap, some of them are good, some of them are bad, and you pay a price. So you throw the stone, if it landed in one of those clothes, so it could be a winner, it could be what? A loser. That's the first one. Or, for example, a land. I will sell you the land, okay, by buying, you pay the price, and you will hit with a stone, throw a stone. Whatever the stone reaches, that's the land you're going to get. So you train yourself, man, just to throw as much as you can, not as hard as you can. All of it is gambling. That's the first way of selling and buying. Or it could be sheep, lineup of sheep. You know, some of them are fat, some of them are good, some of them are thin. So you throw a stone from a distance. So the stone, if it lands on one of them, that price will be paid. You could be paying, so if you have paid, let's say, £100. £100, you could get an average one. Small one, you get it for £50. But big one, you get it for £200. So if your stone hit the big one, you want £100 because it's £200. You gave £100. But if you hit the smaller one, you lose £50. If you have the average, then you get it right. And that's gambling. What does that link you now? No question. What does that link you now? This is happening every day in fun fairs. We're going to talk about them. The fun fairs. Doesn't matter. 2-3 minutes doesn't matter. Yeah, Allah, I know. I'm looking at that. It doesn't matter. We're not here at rocket launching 1, 2, 3. Take it easy. Allah ibn Abbas made the companion to wait until the stars appear. Maghrib is gone. Right. Coming back. Just pay attention to one of your things. It's very important. Second way of the hasa is that I am selling you and you have the choice until I throw the stone. So there's a bunch of clothes and you have to quickly search which one is one you want. So you pay £100. Quickly. But if I throw the stone, that's it, you're finished. The choice is being given up. You have to make the choice within that 0.00 of a second or something like this. Third way of doing it, that you say that if you have hit the stone, that type of cloth with the stone, then it is such and such money you pay. If you don't hit it, then it will be such and such money. So if you hit it, it will be cheaper. If you don't hit it, it will be what? More expensive. These are the 3 ways of bay' al-hasa. By this, we know that all of this overly risky transactions, from where we're going to talk about a number of issues, ikhwani. Like, for example, there are machines when people have seen the Muslim play on them, they think it's not gambling. They go to as well to the fun fair where they, for example, start throwing balls, basketballs, in order to get a doll, and a massive like bear or something, teddy bear, and they will give him 3 throws, 3 throws, or shooting, all of that. Is that halal or haram? Inshallah, after the prayer. Jazakumullah khairan wa barakallah.
It's good because you save on the calories. You don't feel like eating it.
I'm going to start. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. طيب. Just to before we end up this بيع الغرر, which is the overly risky transactions, we said the selling of the unborn fetus is not allowed. Prophet ﷺ at his time, he had this, the habala, meaning the people of the days of ignorance used to sell camel's meat all the way to the extent of habala, which is the pregnancy of the pregnancy. So it's the offspring of a present camel, and it could be the offspring of the present camel. Subhanallah. And the Prophet ﷺ forbade this. The way that they do this is in the following manner. Either they will sell you what is in the offspring of this she camel. So we don't know if this offspring is an offspring. It could be an ill camel. That's why it's having, swollen belly. It's not a camel there. Okay, it could be as well alive or dead. It comes out dead. How can you pay for something which I don't know is going to be alive or it's going to be a dead? It's going to be complete or incomplete, without an eye, without a face. Allahu A'lam. طيب. Also from the way of doing this, which is haram way, and that is to sell something and buy something before the offspring to be unloaded. So before this camel comes in, you are paying the money. So you're paying the money and then, you are making the transaction and you're delaying paying the money until the she camel to be born. And in this way, you will be paying more expensive. In this way, you'll be paying more expensive. Fine. I'm going to ask, is this transaction halal or haram? You know that these companies who are, they call it the loan collectors, loan collectors, or debt collectors, that's the one, debt collectors. So, for example, let's say you have parked wrongly, and you had a ticket, and you did not pay for the ticket. Okay? So these people, they will start sending you letters, and you don't respond. So the fine, for example, it was 50, increased to about £200. And then these people will give it to loan or debt collectors. These debt collectors, what do? They purchase this deal from the original company who made the fine with a cheaper price. And whatever they make is theirs. Do you understand that? So let's say you are being asked for £400. Say they will buy it from the original company for even less the original fine. Let's say it's £50, they'll read it for £20, £30. Because other people have given up anyway, so they get £30 good. And those ones, they get as so they buy it for £30, but now they want to target you. If they can get 200, would be better. 100, still big in profit. Is this halal or haram? Naam. Why? It's gambling. So this is gharar, overly risky transactions. They've already had made a deal with this company. They'll give you only £20, but they might lose the £20. They'll get nothing from that guy. That guy, he just left the country. Or the guy, he doesn't even care about them. They will get nothing, zero. So either they will get a lot of money, or they will get no money. So it's gambling. Or they might get the same money, but more likely they will get it more than the money. So that is called gambling. It's like insurance as well. That's gambling because over risky. So when you, for example, make an insurance for the car, either you hit the car and then you make the car, the company insurance, they pay an arm and a leg, subhanAllah, a lot of money. Or a whole year will pass and you'll don't make an accident, and all your money you pay what? You pay for air, for nothing. So they took the money, whatever you paid, 200, 500, especially they owe. I waterly priced that these youth when they graduate with the driving license, £3,000. £3,000 for what? For air, for nothing. So they don't, and they are really terrified to do anything which is wrong, and they put this black box inside their car and all of that, and they yet pay very heavily, and that money is just haram. This system like this is bound to kill, to have a recession from time to time. It has to have it. That's why we have the crisis and market falling down because of these things. طيب. Now we come into the machine. There's a machine that you pay money for it, and this machine's got an arm. It gives you time, let's say maybe a minute to 2 minutes, and you have to move the arm either this way and then that way, and then it will let go of 3 clothes, and then it goes to take one of these dolls at the bottom, thrown on, and brings it back. Okay, right. I have looked at it properly to see what is happening. And this woman, she's with her daughter, non-Muslim. I'm cold, by the way, just a bit. So she's with this woman with her daughter, and she is giving her daughter money to go and play for the sake of this. Halal or haram? You've learned now. Naam. So overly risky transactions. Why? You pay maybe £1, isn't it? The one game is £1. Let's say it's £1. Either you lose the pound, or you pick a doll which costs about maybe £3 on the market. Either a winner or a loser. But let me tell you something. After studying this machine, those machines have nothing to do with skill. It's like they have done it to the system that every 6, 7 people pay £1, and after that, that claw becomes stronger. It's nothing to do with aiming. Do you understand me? So you could be very good putting it precisely on top of the thing, but it's not the time for it to pick up now. It will just tick, tick, and they go. They're not really strong. They only become strong after the system collects about 8, 7 seconds. Then maybe lots of people had lost, and you come with £1 and you go in the door. That is haram. How can I make this halal? Yalla. Scratch your brains. Now, how can I make this halal?
There is a version like this that exists in Nigeria. I don't know if it's halal or not. But if you don't pick anything, it will give you a sweet. Like a sweets or like something. So the arm goes down, it doesn't pick anything. It's
still haram because the sweet costs you a penny. No, even if it's a skill, it's still haram because you're gambling. Even if you're skillful, either you win or you lose. Yes?
Maybe you pay what's equivalent to the price of the coin.
What? How? What?
Instead of paying £1 and getting a coin for £3, you have to pay £3 for the ticket.
So let's say I paid £3 and then I did not get it. Still haram. Now.
What if it's use it for free? So you go, so you use it for free. Say you do something else.
That's number 1 halal. That's for free. They give it me and then I If I choose, alhamdulillah, I get the toll. If I don't get the toll, there's no loss. Another way to make it halal? You pay a fee, and you have to win exactly, almost similar to the pay that, you almost get something. It's equivalent. Or,
If you don't pick, we could give you back your £1.
no, you pay a fee and you get nothing. No problem. That means you pay your money just to train yourself, not to own that doll. It's halal. Do you understand that? So either his or the opposite. So I'm paying money, for example, 3 shots, but I'm getting nothing. I'm just trying to see how skillful I am, but I will not get the reward. Or I'm paying nothing, I'm paying 3 shots, I'm paying nothing, and then I'm getting something. No problem. So there's no loser or winner. It has to be somebody who's offering. I'm offering, and come on, I'm challenging you. But if you lose, you don't really lose. So I'm paying money for the game, but I'm not getting anything from that game. Another way of making it halal is another person who is a third party. Nothing to do with the person who is offering the game, nothing to do with the person who's paying the money. So you're paying money, okay? And the game says it's not going to give you a doll. It will just make sure that you are hitting the button, you get green, like you make it like a noise. If you hit it, yes. Oh, mashallah. So this person from where he said, if you get the green light, I'm going to give you such and such. No problem. Another way of doing it as well. 2 people fighting with each other, wrestling. One, he says, if I win, I'm going to give, if you win, that means if you overtake me, if you wrestle me, I will give you £5 if you win, or £20 if you win. And if you lose nothing. Halal from one side. Or another person from the third party looking at them. If the winner, I'm give him £100. No problem. So it's not a person putting money, another person putting money, and one of them is going to gain the other money. That's called gambling. Okay? We don't talk about gambling, but also this is overly risky because transactions. Because to do with gambling. Right. Last thing which is here before we stop and give you questions, that is Asbul Fahl. What is Asbul Fahl? Asbul Fahl is, listen to this inshallah, is selling the stud fees. You know the stud fees? You don't know what's the stud fees. Stud fees is the sperm that comes out from the male in order to impregnate the male, the female. You understand that? So it used to be a person who's got she camels, he wants a male camel. So he will hire that camel for 5 days and he'll give money. For the sake of what? That camel mates with a she camel. So he pays, let's say, £100. Why is it haram? Because of risky transactions. I pay £100, but this guy who's a camel has got the no mood to go and impregnate this female. He's got no mood. I had it for 5 days, he did nothing to my she camels. So I paid for £100 for what? For 0 thing. So I'm not allowed. But if there is no way for me to impregnate my camels except for this way, it's halal for me, but haram for the person who's selling it. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the tax that you need to pay for the sake of Allah, if you have camels, number 1 is when it is drinking from the well, that people can drink milk from it. That's a tax you pay to the people. So when it's drinking, there's milk in it, some people can bring a bucket, don't sell it to them, give it for the sake of Allah. Also, that to give the male of them as a burial for the sake of Allah, halal. Okay, so no buying the stud fees, no hiring the stud fees as well, the male camel, not hiring it, just for the sake of Allah. So also that is if you want to use it for mounting something very important as well, to give it for the sake of Allah. What about it being given generously a gift after I have given this male camel as a lending for my neighbor? No problem. If his generosity came, so somebody gave him the lend, and as a return for your favor. He gave you something. As long as it's not been implemented, it's not a condition. I'm giving you this, Jazakallahu khairan, for that borrow, and I'm giving you a present, not for the sake of what, as I said, for the sake of the hiring of the male camel. Right. Here we stop, inshallah, and we give you questions for the answers. We're going to be talking about the second, the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth payment, the transactions which is not permissible. Now, is that okay, inshallah? Fadl.
Just a question about like football tournaments, snooker tournaments. Everybody, there's about 6 teams. They all give £5 each, and the winner at the end wins.
Haram or halal? Tournament. Each person from the team pay £5. Pay £5, all of them, and then they play together, and the winner takes all. Is that halal or haram? Haram. Gambling. They buy a present, the trophy, whatever. The trophy goes to the winner. Haram. But if somebody from a third party, he gave a trophy to the winner, no problem. If one side gave the trophy and they lose, they lose, they will give the trophy, and if they win, they get nothing. So there's nothing trophy, losing. So you don't lose anything. So one side is losing, no problem. I'm giving you money. If you win over me, I'm giving you the money. If you lose, akhi, there's nothing on you. That's halal. So it's like betting from one side. Now,
Regarding car insurance, is it better to get third-party insurance because it's essential, or
is it better, or I should be saying the question, is it halal? Which is permissible? Permissible, ya akhwani, is to pay the minimum of the insurance. The minimum of the insurance is not, unfortunately, third party on its own. If you put third party plus fire and theft, you get it cheaper. I don't know why. If you put third party, you get the most expensive. Third party fire and theft, you get cheaper. What is it? Shaitan? He says, what is it? Huh? Yeah, fully confident. We'll get into it, but I'm just saying, if you put third party on its own, it gets more expensive. They say this person is, the computer decide, reckless person, he doesn't care. He's just, you understand me? They put it up. Third party and fire and theft. Now he says, especially if it's a new car, if it's fully come, it will be cheaper even than third party. If it's considerably cheaper, go for it with the intention that you will not make money out of this. So if you made a mistake, you don't ask the company to fix your car. It's your mistake. You could take as much as you paid. So let's say you paid 1,000 to the company, take it 1,000. But if it's over 1,000, it's your mistake. It's not your mistake or the other party, the other party will pay. It's not your problem. So be careful, Ikhwan. Because some people make money out of this insurance. No, it has to be considerably cheap, not just cheap. If it's £10, £15, that's not cheaper. Talking about considerably cheap. It's about 500, 300, nothing cheaper. Difference, good difference. Now,
that's to do with the gaming and stuff again. So like the punch machine. Say for example, you pay £1, you get 3 shots, and you try to get a high score. Is that?
You don't. Basically, there is nothing to win. You're just showing how much powerful you are. That's very good.
Yeah.
So you are competing with the brothers.
Yeah.
Who is the strongest? Yes, that's a good game. So I don't know if it's a true hit or not.
That's the thing.
I don't think so. I could defeat somebody with muscle. It's to do with the skill. Where do you hit it properly?
Where you hit it.
Yeah, where do you hit it? So it's something to do with how strong you are. You know, these things go boom, and then it makes a noise. That's the win. That means you have really hit it properly. Huh? The other one, yes? Yeah, there's no, so the halal, they are halal. So somebody could say as well, between the two, brother, if you score more than me, I will give you £50. And if you don't score more than me, you're going to lose nothing. That's halal. So you're bidding as well with another person from one side. Now,
In regards to this, does this have any correlation to how expensive the item that thing is, or is it dependent with how much knowledge you have of that product?
I don't understand the question.
So the thing that you might be purchasing, is the risk dependent on how much the item is worth and how much you could lose? Or is it also, is it added into that how much skill or knowledge you have of that item? Or
The
that
skill of the item, it doesn't matter. Who says when he buys, for example, a very latest sort of mobile, he knows about the mobile? I don't know, maybe 1% of my mobile. You understand me? I'm buying the mobile, and I know it's good mobile and everything. But do you know everything about feature about this mobile? It's not gambling. I want this mobile because it's reliable and because of it. But there are things I think I'm using maybe, let's say from 100%, I'm using 10%. And the other 90% features, I'm not using them. That's no problem.
Let's say, for instance, someone who goes buy an expensive car to make profit, but it's going to cost them £15,000. There's an element of high risk, but they have knowledge of cars at the same time. But there's still element of high risk that something could go very
A
wrong.
person who knows what he's doing, no problem to buy something expensive because he will get the margin of profit would be more as well. No problem. It's not because the car is not gambling. He still sells, but he is waiting for the right moment, selling it to the right people in the right place as well. Some people bring it from the north cheaper and sell it in the south. Okay? It's no problem. It's good dealing. Yeah, it's too skillful. You make him as long as you don't con people. Fadlan. To give what? What's muharraba? Murabaha. Muharraba means like a war, declaring war on something. Declaring war against the car. Yeah, murabaha about. What is a murabaha? Do you understand that? The word? We're going to talk about it when it comes to transactions. Not next, but next to the next. You understand what's murabaha? Okay, profit like this. The laptop, the bank sells it because he owns the laptop. £200. You might buy it outside for 150, but he's selling it 200. No problem. Do you understand that? I'm selling it because it's my laptop. But the way that you're talking about, he doesn't own the laptop. He doesn't own the car that you are buying from. He doesn't. He's asking you, which car do you want? You say, this Lamborghini. Huh? Okay, this Lamborghini costs you £100,000, but it costs in the shop maybe £80,000. So you pay the bank £100,000 in loans, in called installments, where he will purchase the car for you for the price which he makes with the company, maybe 80,000. He's making £20,000. So if you went to this so-called Islamic bank and told him, can I borrow from you £80,000, please? I want to buy the Lamborghini. Well, okay, in 5 years you return them 100,000. No, we're not going to say that because they know this is riba, clear riba. So they do it the other way around. Same one, the same deal. If you said to them, give me 80, and they said to you, give us 100,000 after 10 years, it is riba, clear riba. But what do? What do you want to buy with the 80,000? That car? Okay, we will buy it for you. Okay, and then you pay us 100,000 here. That's haram. Because when you made the deal with them, they didn't have the car yet. You have to start paying them first and make the transaction and sign it up. Then they will buy the car from you. So they have sold something which they don't own. And this is something we're going to talk about. بَيْعْ مَا لَيْسَ عِنْدَهُ. Something they don't own, they sold it to you. So, in order for them to make it halal, they have to own the car without making any deal with you. No signing. Okay, you want that car? Okay, we'll buy the car. Sell the car. This person said, I changed my mind. I don't want to buy it. And the bank has to make, for example, maybe a deal with that company. Let's say to them, please, brother, okay, we'll make it rasm al-bi'. Rasm al-bi' means we will just buy it. That in case we sell it, we will give you the money. We don't sell it, we'll return it back as it is. The company people, no problem. But I'm buying now from the bank, and the bank owns the item. And if something goes wrong with the item, I'm not going to go to the original car dealers. I'm going to go to the bank because they own it. But it's not the case in your case, is it? Yeah. You go into the dealers and everything, but these guys are just the middle guy to pay the money. Haram. تفضل.
In e-commerce, when you sell something over a website, and you don't take cash when people buy online, you just take cash on delivery. So when you go and deliver the items, the customer still has the choice whether to buy it or not. When does the bay' kind of like happen? Does it happen?
It doesn't matter when the bay' does it. If there is stipulated condition, then it will go with the condition. المسلمون عند شروطه. So there's a condition that the seller is saying to you that you have 28 days to return the item unpackaged or whatever its condition, then they have to abide with what they have said. But if there is no condition stipulated, then it says when the two parties depart from each other, then the sale now has been done and each person is not obliged to return the item or to regain the item. Do you understand that? Both of the parties. I don't want to tell it to you. Now,
now that you get companies where they're working from the house.
You get companies who are working from the house.
Yeah, like myself, I'm working from the house. I'm selling stock which I don't have at the house, but it's in a different town, different country. So I'm selling it. I'm not seeing the product. Customers still buying it. So I'm just shipping it to them. That's still allowed. If you tangibly don't have it, you can't see your job shipping.
Okay, there is something called بيع السلم. We're going to be discussing that. بيع في كيل معلوم في زمن معلوم. السلم والسلف. Salam or salaf, the same word. We'll talk about that. But you're saying that a person says to you, I want to buy something which you are offering. Then you say to him, okay, I will get it for you. This is how much it costs. But you don't have it. In this way, to make it halal, you are a person who call it wakil, deputized. You're the middleman. The middleman, because you are not guaranteeing the stuff, the company itself guaranteeing the stuff. But you are, what do you call this, samsar? Broker, that's the one, the broker. The broker, you are the broker, you're not the seller. So if you understand that you are not the seller, there's no problem. But if you believe you are the seller and you don't own the item, you sold something without you owning it yet, because what happened, you see, the money, you take it, and then the shipment does not take place, or the shipment was faulty, or whatever happened. Do you guarantee that? Do you have a guarantee with this? You don't have a guarantee. The people who are selling it have a guarantee. And these people, they might be bankrupt. You ended up the middleman. We have a person who had taken lots of money from lots of people in this way. 23 million. Dissipated like this on the thin air in Brixton. 23 million. They made a company, and this guy just got the money and ran off. The middleman, the broker. The broker. He made a lot of money. And the people ended up.
Why do you give the money back in case something goes wrong? Is it permissible then?
Or you don't take the money until it's there.
No problem if you don't take the money until you get the item. It's okay.
But if you do take the money and then the shipment fails and you give the money back, is it permissible?
Well, the thing is, when you come into the bay' al-salam, I'll give you an example for this. Let's say that you go into a factory. They are manufacturing something. So they want to manufacture a specific machine. This machine is going to cost maybe £1 million. It's a robot machine to do something. You're going to use it yourself or on the factory. So they will give you the design. They will give you everything. Or it could be a person who's not the manufacturer. It could be somebody like him, the middleman. He will give you the design, give you every single screw. And he will give you the timeline for you to receive that machine. That is called Bay' al-Salaf. No problem about this. Because you are set, there is no gharar into this. There's no, because everything there being described to the letter by pictures even, images. There's no deception here, because the deception could be that you told me something, akhi, but there's something it's not really what you said. It's not really. No, everything there in that design sheet to that, as I said, to this little screw. Okay, that is Bay'u Salam, and no problem. And the Prophet Sahaba used to do it. The time of there where the Romans used to come from the Sham to buy, for example, dates, and also they wanted to have oil from them, olive oil and all of this. So they will start buying from them on the sake of that. When they have the crop of the dates is ready, they will give it to them. So they will give them the correct weight and the time, because they know at the time when it is due, ripened. So it's their palm trees, so they will salaf. So they will it's like a debt loan. It's a loan now. Allahu Akbar. Okay, we have 3 minutes. I'll finish it. Quarter to 10 now.
Some restaurants, bakeries sell unsold items in bags for a discounted price. But you don't know what's in the bag. So whatever's left over that evening, they put it in the bag, you buy it.
Restaurants?
A restaurant or bakery.
Or bakery, so they can cook food, basically.
Food in the bag, and it's sold at a very low price. But you don't know what's in the bag.
Okay, so I don't know what is in the bag. I need to know, is it overly risky transaction or not? If this is known to be that there's a lot of winners and a lot of losers, I'm not allowed to buy it. But if it is the case that you will definitely get what you be paid for, minimum. So there will be no losers and no, it's like buying, I'll tell you what, walnut in its shell. You're paying a lot. Walnuts is very expensive. You know the walnut? Very expensive. So when you buy it, do you know that it's going to be walnut inside? You don't know. You don't know what's inside it, because you're buying the walnut, you're not buying the inside. You buy the inside, it's haram, because it will be overly risky. You're not buying the inside of the melon, the watermelon as a whole. So this is risk we can't really deny. We can't really. So here, this is the item, they wrap it, okay, the wrap. As long as there is no overly risky transaction, and it is known that these people will not con you and give you something less than what you paid, then it's halal.
Yeah. Next question, you make the dua of the market and empty shops or supermarkets.
By the way, before you answer this question, I've never seen restaurants would sell something wrapped with something you can't see.
There is an app called Olio, where, for example, at the end of the day, they have leftovers. So they put them in bags of similar value, but they will sell it at a very low price.
But similar value, yes, similar value.
So
and the items are consumable.
So for example, the bakery.
It's a consumable item. Yeah, okay, this is good for the poor people, like us. You like this? Can you give me the term? Yeah, tafadhal. Dua into the market. Yes, you go to the market, you need to market shop.
Final question, is it permissible to take a deposit when selling an item to cover expenses or possible cancellation?
Say that again, please.
Is it permissible to take a deposit when selling items to cover your expenses?
Okay, so we're going to talk about, when you're asking me something, I'm going to be having nothing to talk about. So you pay a deposit, you see. You pay a deposit for something. When I answer, I'm going to have nothing to teach, but I'll tell you. Let's say that you are buying a mobile, okay, and you said, brother, hold this mobile for me. Don't sell it. It's the last one in its item. Okay, brother, give me a deposit. Okay, I'm giving you a deposit. Mobile or a car or anything. Okay, £100. I give you the £100. And after a while, I came back and said, I changed my mind. Is he the person entitled to the £100? No way. Is he entitled to take from that £100? It depends. If somebody who's a potential buyer came to him and he said, I want that mobile, and you said to him it's been sold, then you lost. So you take, a ratio from that. It could be the £100, all of it. It depends upon how much loss you have gained. Or maybe the mobile He was selling for a lot of price. Now when he said, I don't want it, it's gone down. And the margin of going down is more than the £100. You take the £100, no problem. But just because he didn't buy it, I'm going to penalize him. It's not allowed. If he didn't lose anything, customer came to me asking me about this. I can't take the £100. It's a very fascinating topic.